Hey everybody, welcome to my stream on my channel, depending on where you're looking at it. Currently live streaming as well, but this will go up on my YouTube channel later. I am going to run through the newest patch of Overwatch with you. It is patch, it's version beta 1.0.4.0. And I am going to have the patch notes right next to me, and I'll run through them and show you what the in-game content is. So the first thing that the patch notes highlight are the new play mode, which is competitive play. So if you go to play, you usually have quick play, play versus AI, custom game, and then the match of the week, which in the beta is a match of the day. They changed it daily instead of weekly, but I think they're like it says, weekly brawl. So their idea is to actually play that weekly. Now, competitive play has just been added. It is a system in which, it's more of a serious system than the Reddit quick play. Normally, you would play quick play, but if you're serious about the game, you want to move up in the ranks and show that you're a good player, maybe learn a lot, you go play competitive play. How it's built up right now is you have, I believe, 5 tiers. From the earliest being Challenger, as you can see right here, it says I'm Challenger, and then actually it's divisions. I should say or is it? I'm not completely sure about the names they call them. Anyways, so you start out in Challenger, and you can work all the way up to Heroic. I believe it's like Advanced, then something after that, then Heroic. And each division, aside from Heroic, has 5 tiers. I'll call these tiers. I'll call the names divisions. You start at tier 1, and 5's the most prestigious. So once you get to 5, and you then get into the next division, or what did I say, tier, you'll actually switch to the division advanced if you're in Challenger, etc. Now, I don't believe there's any that there's currently any rewards you can get from competitive play, but they did say that you would that there would be small static customizations for your as a reward for competitive play. Now, I don't know exactly how many wins you need to get or how a point system works, because I haven't actually played competitive play yet, but I might update on that later today. Then general progression rewards. They've apparently deleted some of the sprays and player icons that were less. We'll go over the player icons, but player icons that have been less used, and added some new ones. Now, I cannot say which one they have removed from the player icons, because I don't necessarily look at them that often. Is there one? Oh no, I thought for a second they deleted that one, but no, they didn't. But they did add a whole bunch of new ones. I can see that right on first glance. Like this one, for example, is new. That one's new. This looks new. Haven't seen that one before. Haven't seen that one before, aside from a spray. It could be that they turned a couple of sprays into actual into player icons rather than keep them as sprays. But I know that they just deleted a couple of sprays and added in some new ones. Same goes for voice lines. I'm not entirely sure which voice lines they've deleted, etc. But we'll have to find that out throughout the game. Now, this is always interesting. The legendary skins. They added a couple new legendary skins. I expect some of them to just be regular recolors, but others could be actual new skins. So let's check out Bastion first. So if you guys didn't know yet, he had the Woodbot, the Gearbot. Oh, the Gearbot's new actually, I think. Yeah, he had Woodbot, Steambot, and Antique. But the Gearbot is the new one. I believe it is similar to the Steambot, just a different color perspective. It looks a little bit rusty, sort of, but generally cool feel. I think like the green really suits him, because if you've looked at like some of his lore, he's like a friendly. Is it even an Omnic? I don't believe they are. It's like a friendly robot. Let's just call it a robot right now. I'm not that deep into the lore yet. Um, and his general theme of skins, right? So this is the one you get if you buy the Origin edition, which is overgrown, and it just shows you like, okay, equip it now. Oh shit, you can. Damn. So they added the Origin. They gave everybody the Origin skins as well. That's super exciting. I'm super hyped for that. I really am. That is freaking hype. I didn't know that yet. But so what they do with him is they keep him a bit like they keep, even though he's a robot, they keep him in touch with nature. So I really like that they used the green here and showed him a little bit rust, like he's deteriorated a little bit. Then Diva, I expect Diva had a June bug and a scavenger skin. I expect these skins to be um, just to be reskins. She got two new skins in the last patch, so not this patch, but the patch before that, and this was one of them. I expect Junebug to just be a recolor. Exactly, it is a recolor, a far cooler, possibly a far cooler recolor, far more shiny. Ah. I am sad now that I actually bought the Biva. That is like, I like this skin a lot, but look how sexy that one looks with the golden suit. Damn, looks a lot cooler. And then the Junker was the other skin they edited last patch, which is really awesome. I actually thought about getting this as well. And the Scavenger is a green version of it. No, I do prefer the Junker over the Scavenger, but that's personal opinion, you know. Okay, next one, Genji Sparrow. So Genji hasn't received a legendary yet. Up until now, these were like the Carbon Fire and the Chrome were the highest you could get. But let's check out what the Sparrow has. Ah, it's actually young Genji. That's pretty cool. Cause I don't know if you guys know it, but on the on the Reddit there was a post quite a while back after Ilios, the new King of the Hill map got introduced. Someone found a picture of young Hanzo together with young Genji. So they actually added a young Genji, which is freaking awesome. That's this one. It looks really cool. It brings him back to a human form rather than his classic, well, mechanical form that you see in the game. So I'm excited for the voice back of this as well. Now, I don't believe there's no new Hanzo skin, but I'll just show you, like, this is the classic Hanzo skin, right? But this is the young Hanzo skin. So you saw a picture of this guy, or actually, I don't know if it was the young Master or the young Hanzo, but one of these two, and then with the young Genji. So I'm really excited that they added the young Genji. Let's continue onwards. Sorry if I'm not responding to the stream right now. I am filming this for the YouTube as well, so that's why I'm not delving too deep into the chat. Just so you guys know. Okay, next up is Junkrat. Junkrat generally looks like this. He did get a he used to, up until the last patch, he used to only have like these two skins as the highest, but he got a legendary in the last patch, which was this, and you see that these two are probably new, but I expect the full one to be a recolor of this one. So let's look at it. It's a blue one. Kind of looks the same, you know, just a recolor of this one. I personally prefer the Jester over the Fool because purple's my favorite color. It has a little bit more of a color scheme, well, more of a different color scheme. You see several tints of blue with the black striped pants. That's oh, actually he has a black striped pants over here as well. Nah, okay, so I definitely like this one more just because the color deviation is bigger. This one's a little bit brighter. I'm actually more of a subtle kind of color difference guy. Then let's see. I'm assuming that the Scarecrow, because that one sounds far more often, so I'm gonna far more awesome, I should say. So I'm assuming Scarecrow is actually the new, like, base skin, and the Hayseed is a recolor of the Scarecrow. So let's look at it. Oh my god, this looks hilarious. I don't like the green that much, but I do get why they used it, probably to keep it in touch with nature. I love that he has a barefoot now as well. I hope the Hayseed looks a little bit better though. I'm not a big fan of the green, but his hair looks freaking awesome, and his mask. Between the Jester and the Scarecrow, it's hard to say which one's cooler. I need to hear the voice lines. These stitches are just amazing. Okay, let's check the Hayseed out. Yeah, Hayseed's definitely cooler than the Scarecrow because it sticks with the sticks with a color scheme that's far more potent in my opinion. Like he doesn't have a what's it called? Not blocked. Just like a wood chopper. I don't know. Like checkered. That's what I mean. A checkered shirt. Freaking amazing. I love it. Now this one's far better than the Scarecrow, but still, Jester seems so much more appropriate than the Scarecrow. Although the Scarecrow is pretty awesome. Ooh, not sure which one I'd buy. Okay, next up is Lucio. Lucio had an epic skin, which is this one, or a legendary skin, I should say, not an epic skin. I always confuse those two. Um, but yeah, a legendary skin. He already had it, but he apparently got a new one. So in the last one, last patch they also added Hippity Hop, which is just a recolor. I'm not sure whether I like this one more than the Ribbit. But I think they did like a stellar job on the Additiva and the Synesthesia. I think these two are really cool, and I like probably cooler than the Ribbit and the Hippity Hop. But let's see what they did with the next one, though. Ah, they added in a hockey skin. That's freaking amazing. I'm only okay. So the only thing I'm wondering, oh, and one without a hockey mask. Now this is really cool, right? So I just said purple's my favorite color, so if I'm gonna buy one, it's probably gonna be this one. But these two just look amazing, both of them. That's insane. Just wondering what he uses for his weapon. Well, actually, he doesn't hold a weapon in this one either. But that is freaking cool. I'm excited to see like what his weapon looks like. I definitely take this one though because I like the extra helmet. Although the color scheme is probably a little bit better here because like this is just gray and white, and I like it that this one has blue all over. But that's freaking cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Next up, May. May is one of my favorite characters, and I haven't actually played her that much, but she is like one of the. I think she's one. She has like so much character in her, and it's really cool. So previously she had like a firefighter, which is kind of a play on her abilities because she is ice oriented. She has like the little robot. Looks like a fire hydrant here. But then the firefighter had like a like as water instead of ice, you know. But let's see. So they added in an abominable snowman, I'm assuming, and the Yeti hunter. So I'm assuming like something monstrous, but sticking to the ice theme, which is really cool. Ooh, she looks a little bit like a Inuit or Eskimo. It's a more common term. This is really cool. I think that this fits her theme so well because she's like Chinese, and then lived on the Arctic or like below China. Yeah, it's the Arctic's there. So that's really cool. And the Yeti Hunter is probably a blue one. Yeah, this is freaking awesome. Definitely in favor of the blue one. I like the blue and white color scheme. Blue and white is like my favorite. Like if you're making a logo or whatever, I like the blue and white because it's so clean and fresh. That is freaking cool. That's amazing. Oh, I need this one. Definitely gonna buy that one at some point. Next up, Farah. Farah got her first legendary in the previous one. She used to. This is kind of funny because she has the classic, right? And then you have the Anubis and the Jekyll, which both give her a different helmet and just a different color scheme. So usually she has a more of a beak, kind of. Hey, oh yeah, and I have the security chief now. Let's equip that. So this is an origin skin as well. But usually she only got like the helmet that changed. Then the new one that got added was the nope, that's not it. It's the Mecha Queen, which has a really cool color scheme. And I kind of saw the I already released the Raptorian now, but Raptorian, ooh, it has a different mask. No, it has the same kind of mask, same kind of mask, but in general, it's a blue color scheme. Really cool recolor though. Like the colors they used. A little bit more of the same though than this one. This is more. This has multiple different colors. A wider palette. This one's a little less wider palette, but like the color they chose is perfect for it. Not sure which one I like more. Like I said, purple, one of my favorite colors. Then orange used to be my favorite color, so like really cool. But I think that's too much white in this one. This one gets rid of that. Now let's see if the Thunderbird's the recolor as well. I hope not. Usually it's not, so let's see. Oh, wow, this is amazing. They made her Indian. This is freaking cool. This hype. Look at that. Oh my god. No, that's really cool. That's awesome. This one is far better than the other two. Like, you'll barely even see her red forehead, but it is gonna be awesome. Like, just the details like that. That's amazing. Damn, they do such a good job with the freaking skins. Reaper has a Plague Doctor skin now. This is the skin that got added into the game in the last patch, and I recently bought it. I'm assuming Plague Doctor to be a spoof on that. Yeah, a recolor. Really cool too. Cool color scheme. Like I said, more into the purple, so I'll prefer the Nevermore. But Plague Doctor looks really cool. I like the white mask. It really sets the tone for the rest of the outfit. And then the Black Watch Rays, which I probably have to play with a bit as well, because, you know, I did pay for the epic skin, so I gotta, or for the origin bundle, so I gotta at least play it, you know. But this one's definitely takes a trump for me. And then he also has the El Blanco and the Mariachi, but I don't like those too much. I think it takes away from his personal style, so. And I think the Nevermore and the Plague Doctor play far more into that, so I'm glad they added the recolor for it. Reinhardt has a Stoneheart, which I assume, like, this is one of his legendary skins, but in the previous patch he got the Lionheart, which looks amazing with the lion. I still want this one. Lion over here as well. It's so much attention for detail, like the claws and such. I'm assuming the Stoneheart is a recolor, yes. It is. Really cool, though. Reminds me a bit of a gargoyle. This one reminds me more of a battle suit. This one reminds me more of like a gargoyle. Pretty cool. Really cool, actually. Nice color scheme they chose. Onto Roadhog. Roadhog got 2 new skins. Now, this was one of his legendary skins, and the Mako was the other one. I'm assuming that the Islander and the Shark Bait are recolors. So let's see. Indeed, recolors. This is pretty cool. Chosen a darker scheme for him. Kind of like it. Kind of like it. The white mask. They could have done something different for the white mask. I don't necessarily like how white it is, but you know, pretty cool. And then this is the Mako, which is amazing in itself. But let's check out the recolor quickly. Ooh, red. Has some added things like an X on the treasure chest. And his belly changes. The belly tattoo changes to a compass. I'm glad they. Okay, so the one thing if you go back to the classic one, right? You have the Roadhog pig made out of his belly button, which is cool. Then the one thing I didn't like about the Mako is that he didn't have a belly button. That was a pig, because the same goes for Towai, actually. Is that changed with the Islander? Nah, it's not changed with the Islander. But there's a couple of, like, if you make a play of the game, he changes a couple of, or some of his poses, and like they focus on the belly button and that being a pig. So it's kind of like off-putting that it's not a pig. So I'm glad they changed that with the shark bait. They put it back in a pig, made a compass out of it. Really cool. They're generally the same though. Does it do his toes show? Yeah, his toes show in that one too. Did the back change a little? Got a little skull on there. I don't think the shark changed any. Maybe the stitches. I think it already had the stitches, right? It already had the stitches. I still like this one better, because this shark should be blue in my opinion. Although there are brown and white sharks out there, of course. But, you know. Like the vibrant colors in this one. Now, Soldier 76 had 2 skins previously. Where is my man? Oh, I cannot actually show those. I'll show those as soon as I can, but it's kind of funny. One of the new Soldier 76 skins allowed for him, or didn't allow for him, forced him to become invisible in the game. At least, I'm not sure whether it was only for the people using them, so you couldn't really see like his gun placement or whatever, or whether it was for the enemies. and I'm assuming it's for the enemies, for the opponents, because nobody could see Soldier 76, so people were getting shot straight out of the blue. And this is kind of interesting because Soldier 76 is a hard counter to Pharah because he's a hit scan and one of the easiest hit scans. Like McCree is also a hit scan character, and so is Widowmaker, but they're harder to hit their shots with. And Soldier was just an all-rounder with a pretty good hit scan. Like his hit scan is really good. His hit scan weapon. Definitely on medium range as well, which is what you're gonna face off against the Pharah. Is always gonna medium to long range. So was a straight up counter to Pharah, but now I think Pharah's gonna be pretty strong competitive play because there's no way to counter, or like the main counter, which was Soldier, isn't there anymore. Let's see if Symmetra. Nope, not Symmetra. Widowmaker got a new skin. That's pretty cool because this was one of her original legendary skins, the Odette one, and so is the Odile one. And this is her origin skin, by the way. I'm gonna play with that for now because it looks amazing, and I've played with the Odette far too long. So, in case you don't know her classic outfit, there's a classic outfit, but you probably know it because like you've probably seen the origin or the short videos, you know, the short movies. So she looks like that in there. But now let's look at the new one, the Comtesse and the Huntress. Sounds a little bit more nature-esque. So maybe see a little bit like that. Maybe more of a, I don't know, hunter gear? Deer hunter gear? I don't know. Ooh. This is more of a classic style, like medieval-ish. Really cool. She gets her, like, a more natural skin color as well. Maybe a little bit steampunk, judging by the way her headgear looks and the way her or was it called? What's that ability called? Come on, coach. Grappling hook, and the way her grappling hook looks. So let's see. And this is then the purple variant, and the Huntress is a black and red variant. Really cool design. I love it. But I like I said, purple's my favorite in that sense. Freaking cool. Okay, awesome job again. Oh, Winston didn't get a new one, but Zarya did. So Zarya got a industrial, which was in the game at least since I started playing it. So that's, or I'm not sure whether it was in Beta Phase 1, but it definitely was in Beta Phase 2. And then I got this one in the chest, Cybergoth, which is a recolor of the industrial one. I actually like her original more, so I'm hoping the arts against Siberian Front look a bit cooler. Oh yeah, baby, this is amazing. Okay, need to unlock. Zarya's my favorite character in the game. A second to, and then Diva's my second favorite, I think. But this looks so cool. Let's see the Siberian Front. Siberian Front really cool too, with the classic green and red. Ooh, not sure which I'd like more. What do you guys think? Let me know in chat or in the comments. Okay, so let's quickly. So this was obviously the extensive part, and I wanted to show you guys that definitely. But let's quickly discuss the rest of the patch notes. So you have a for leaving games, a leaver penalty was applied in the previous patch, but they changed it a little bit. They're gonna make it so that you don't get punished for leaving your first game, because it just happens every once in a while. You forget that you're in a game, or it automatically puts you in a game when you're on the toilet, you know? It happens. So what they did now is, if a player's game completion percentage falls below our required threshold, they will now receive a warning message. So you say you have to at least complete 70% of your games. If you fall under 69%, you get a message. And the percentage is based on the 20 most recent games. And if that player then continues to leave games, they will incur a 75% XP penalty for future games until they get above the threshold again. Now, I'm not sure whether the 75% XP penalty means they get deducted 75%, so whether you only get 25% XP, or whether it's a penalty of 25% and you get 75% XP, but I'll try and update that possibly in the description of the link. Well, actually, I'm not planning on leaving the game, so we'll have to find out ourselves. Maybe find it out on the stream. And then play interactivity. So what used to happen, right, is they implemented a system last last patch that if you were AFK in base for a while or just AFK in general, you would get kicked out, and a new player would join the game, and you would, and that game would for you would count as a leave, so you'd get a leaver penalty. Now, what happened to me quite a couple of times is prior to the game starting and you're on offense, you select your hero and then you just AFK for a while I was looking through my chat, responding to like people in my stream, and I just got kicked because I was AFK for a while. Now they've decided that if you're standing still and just browsing through the characters rather than actually picking one and like walking around with it, you don't get kicked anymore, as well as you won't get kicked until 45 seconds after a game has started. So that for me that would solve my problem and would help me in the beginning. So like I could just AFK in base and look at my stream instead of having to forcefully walk around. Aside from that, there's some minor technical updates that they did. You can now see your network graph, so you can see whether your connection is stable or whether you're fluctuating in connection. So that's pretty cool. But the biggest thing here is that you, for custom games, so for scrims, you have a high bandwidth option. There was a huge developers update video about this, but basically what they did was you move in a game and the you while you're moving you send information to the server, right? But it isn't translated one-on-one. So what they do is like for every 4 moves you'd make, the server would only execute one and then save buffer the other one so he knows what you would do and there wouldn't be any lag mistakes. So if your network would cut out and you fail to send one action, the server could already calculate it and put it in, and while your network establishes itself again, you would still be moving. So the rest of your team doesn't see that you're actually lagging, which is really beneficial. But in custom games, in scrims, in tournaments, you want to make sure you have as little as time between what someone else sees and what you see, or what like the server processes and what you actually do. So in custom games, you can now select that it doesn't buffer anymore and stays like as small as possible together. So you get a one-on-one action, and then the server translated a one-on-one to the other people on your team as well, which is freaking awesome. I love that. Then there's a couple of map balance changes. On control maps, they want to start randomizing which point you started. So previously, if you would say join the Ilios map or have a game on the Ilios map, you had point 1, point 2, point 3, and it was always point 1, point 2, point 3, always in that exact order. And you win 2 out of 3, you win the game. So oftentimes you didn't even get to the third map. So now they've actually started randomizing it, so they're shuffling it. So it could be that you start your Ilios map on point 3 rather than on the previous point 1. And they've given each map round a name now, so they're not going to be called 1, 2, 3. They're going to have actual names. They're not mentioned here, but we'll figure those out along the way. And then, so that's pretty cool, because that way you do know which map you're landing on, but you also, or which round of the map you're landing on. But it's not always going to be as repetitive as the other ones, you know? So you're going to have to be a little bit more adaptive to it. Then they made a couple of small changes on Ilios. They made minor revisions to art and collision throughout the entire map. On Lijiang Tower, the garden control point, I'm not entirely sure which one that is, but I think it's the first control point has been slightly enlarged, which should make for better fights. Well, maybe it's the second one as well, because that kind of takes place in the garden. Would be cool if it's the second one. And then there were pillars in the control center. I'm not entirely sure which one that was, because for as far as I know, the second and the third control points had pillars. But there's been the pillars have been removed, and there has been 2 walls that have been added. We'll have to see what that is. Then Route 66, they have a revised first tunnel on the left side. So when you would get out of the attacker spawn, you had a tunnel which you could just, as the defense, you could basically camp that with a Widowmaker and just get a couple of free kills. It's the only way for the offense to move up and get to, if you don't have a jumping ability, but to move up and get to the a common sniper spot or just a higher ground spot, which gives the defense an obvious advantage. But they've revisioned that. I'm assuming that there's a little bit of a twist and turn in it now to make it harder for the defenses to spot out that people are moving over there, which would be, I think that would be useful. And they removed the ability for players to enter the hanging train above the starting attacker spawn. So what you had was the Route 66 map is really awesome, and in the beginning you have a you call as the attacker you come out of the diner, and there's a couple of like parts of train parts. How do you say that? Wagons that are like spread out over the entrance of your attacker spawn, and you have to move around them or maneuver yourself through them. And there's also one hanging from the top. It's like a because there's a bridge which the train fell down from, and that's the story behind it. And there would be a point where Widowmakers or Pharaohs could get up in the train, be really hard to hit, but have a like perfect vantage point for the rest of the entire like first point. So they could just stand there and snipe or stand there and spam their rockets. Really hard to get them down from because of the drop off that most heroes have on the weapons. But now that's been adjusted. They can't move in there anymore. So that's I think it's pretty needed. That was a pretty needed change. Not a lot of people did it because not a lot of people knew of it. I only learned about it 2 days ago, but yeah, it is something that could be abused. Then something minor, payload size has been adjusted, so now all heroes can move across the payload at all times. Sometimes you would get stuck still on payload 66, Route 66 next to the payload, but now that's been changed, so that's really cool. Really cool, really useful rather. And that's it. Then hero balances is always the fun part. So now they start with Mei. Mei has an Ice Wall ability. If you come from Smite, you might know if you're from Smite, but you have Ymir there with his wall. Basically, Mei has the same. The main problem with Mei's wall, though, is what, at least for as far as I experienced it, is that once you put it up, you couldn't put it down. And what would happen is sometimes you would put it up in the wrong place, or someone would was just setting up for their ult, right? So you accidentally put it in front of them, and you close off an entire space of the map for a while, which could be in your advantage, but it could also be in your disadvantage. So to make Mei a little bit more controllable, and maybe move her a little bit more into the meta, I'm not sure whether it's gonna have that big of an effect, but they now allow for you to press the ice wall again and have it be destroyed. So that's I think that's a really good change they made, a quality of life change as they call it themselves. Especially for like beginning Mercy players or Mei players, sorry, not Mercy. Mercy is next up though. Where Mercy has a blaster, the Caduceus blaster. I'm calling it the Caduceus blaster. And it's a secondary weapon. Her primary weapon is Caduceus staff, and what you do with that is you heal and or damage buff people. But sometimes you are forced to switch to your secondary weapon and dish out some damage yourself. Main problem being that you want to instantly switch back to your staff and heal people up again, or give them more of a damage boost. But then if you were getting in an off position or well, at least in a situation in which you had to shoot again, you first had to reload your weapon. Now it automatically reloads when it's not in use, so when you switch to another weapon, which is great. The only thing I'm worried about is that it might, like, I'm wondering whether that reload is faster than the weapon swap. So we'll have to see how fast it is. But if you weapon swap and it's faster than actually reloading, that's just something people could abuse. So they need to make sure that it only reloads after not having been used for like 1 or 2 seconds, something like that. Or make the reload time still as long as it is when you're not hero or not weapon switching. Jesus, my ability to speak has really been on point today. Now, the staff. Let's get back to the staff. What would happen when you were healing as Mercy is you would be healing, right? And you want to switch to damage buffing or the other way around, kind of dependent on who you'd be healing or damage buffing. And at that point, you'd lose your target and it would automatically select a different target. Well, now they've changed it so your beam doesn't get interrupted, or the target at least doesn't get interrupted, but it just switches the beam out. So I think that's a really nice quality of life change. Um, the one thing Mercy suffered from the most, though, and that's what they've adjusted as well, is in her Guardian Angel ability. It's a ability to dash towards a friendly target or to a spot where they just died. What would happen occasionally is especially if you're following a Pharah. Pharah would go up in the air, shoot people. You would dash to her because you need to get close in order to not break your beam, because it has a certain distance that it can cross. If people get out of that distance, the beam disappears, so you're not actually buffing or healing them anymore. So what they've done is the Guardian Angel now has an increased sight. So when a Pharah is on the top of her, like a max of her rocket booster, I think it's called, over jump, you can now follow her, hopefully. But they increased the range slightly, which is nice. Because I believe it was actually shorter than the beam's distance, so sometimes you would be still healing or damage buffing someone, but you couldn't get close to them. But the problem I was talking about is what Pharah would do is like peek and then shoot and then fall back. But if you would Guardian Angel towards Pharah when she was peeking, then you would expose yourself towards that peak and get into the crossfire of the enemy, get hit, sometimes get killed, which is obviously not very beneficial to you. You want to like stick close to your target that you're healing or damage boosting, but you don't want to get vulnerable. So what they did now is they have enabled you to cancel the ability while you're using it. So you can now choose to, instead of always having to cross the full distance, you can decide to go half the distance and still be healing or damage boosting. They also decreased the cooldown a little bit, making her more of a making her capable of using it more often, thus making her a little bit more mobile. Not a huge change. It's gone from 2 seconds to 1.5 seconds. And if you come in contact with destroyable environmental objective, they will actually be destroyed. I like these changes a lot. It will slightly tune Mercy, make her a little bit better, not OP or anything, but I do think it's nice to have these changes, especially towards the Guardian Angel. I think that was much
Where's
needed.
your sense of adventure?
Thank you for the follow. Moving on, Symmetra. If you guys are not familiar with the current state of the game, the competitive state of the game of Symmetra, Symmetra used to be used in both offensive and defensive situations, where she's more of a defensive character due to her ultimate, where you can where she builds a teleport and you can create go through it, and even considering her sentry turrets that she could place, so she could make certain trap halls technically for people to go through. She was mainly used in defense, but with a recent buff and nerf to certain characters, what a lot of people did is they used a squishy composition where people would be very mobile, such as Tracer or Genji, and people would just be using those characters, jump all over the place, kill people, and Symmetra would give them a shield. In case you guys don't know, the Photon shield gives a shield to an ally. I can show you quickly, apparently. That's really nice that they added into the game. And you have a little bit more extra health, and it used to be 50. Now what this shield does is it's not just 50 health and then it decreases as soon as it's destroyed. Shield like Symmetra's regenerated over time as well. So if you were out of combat, you would regenerate that shield. So what it would effectively do is Tracer, who has doesn't actually show her. Tracer has 150 health, but if you get a Symmetra shield on her, she would have 200 effective health, which is a huge buff. You go from 150 to 200. That's a 33.33% health buff, which is insane in my opinion. So they gave her that. She could generally give that shield, and then you have 2 additional healers, and you'd round out your comp like that. Sometimes you have a bit of a flex. Sometimes you had soldiers in them, because they can sustain themselves and still give a little bit of a heal to other characters on the team, other heroes on the team. And it proved that comp was basically unbeatable. especially if it was well coordinated. So what they did now is they reduced the shield amount from 50 to 25, so they made the percentage that you would gain in health a little bit smaller, which hopefully balances her out a little bit. I still hope that to see her being played, but I don't know whether it's going to be a sufficient enough nerf. And well, it might actually, with the buff that came to Mercy, she might actually be played a lot less. We'll have to see. We'll have to feel it out. Um, the one thing that I saw a lot of people be scared of is they constantly see you have supports that are constantly uh taking the prize. Is that a correct saying? I'm not sure, but support there were certain supports that were basically only picked because they were so good. Now we've seen over the several last patches, we've seen nerfs to every single support, and people are afraid that supports are going to be unfun to play, not going to be enjoyable anymore to play. But I feel like with with today's Mercy buff, and then the Symmetra nerf, and like the way that the Overwatch team has been regarding certain buffs and nerfs, I think they're actually on a good track here, and I don't think that we're gonna see supports being completely demolished by nerfs and patches. But I do think they're open to like fine tuning, and I hope that happens with Symmetra. I hope they stay close on Symmetra and check the progress that she makes um, with the nerf to her photon shield. But we'll have to see whether it actually makes a difference or not, and also have to feel out whether she's gonna like completely drop off or not. And I hope that they make slight adjustments, and hopefully they'll if they're not satisfied with what this nerf does, I hope that they actually like get a in between patch in which they release a minor Symmetra buff or nerf depending on how they see it would favor the game. Um, Torbjorn. Torbjorn's another character that has several weapons, right? So he has his, as you can see here, you have your. This is not a good way to show it. As you can see here, you have your hammer, and then he has his guns. Now, there were times in which you always have to use your hammer to upgrade your turret or to heal back your turret, and that would leave you vulnerable to attacks. If you didn't reload your weapon prior to that, you would always get stuck in a god awful position, honestly, where you'd switch back to your weapon, you have to quickly shoot someone, but hey, you're out of bullets, you die. And if you would first reload and then upgrade your turret's dead, so most of your power is gone, and then you die. So now they made it the same as the Mercy change, where your rivet gun now automatically reloads when it's not in use. But the same thing could happen here with Mercy. I hope that the weapon swap is not going to be faster than the reload, because then people could just abuse it. I hope they keep a close eye on that. I'm not sure whether they actually thought about this. But the thought about like having it reload automatically is to make it more useful or streamline using multiple weapons. We've actually come to, well, we're coming to the end of the patch notes. So next part of the patch notes is a career overview. So, I accidentally pressed the wrong button. There we go. Career overview. So you go to career profile on the main stage, and you have most elimination, most final blows, etc. Usually this used to be your, or usually, this used to be in previous patches total eliminations and such. So instead of most eliminations, show your total eliminations, your total final blows, your total deaths, etc. They have changed that up a little bit. I'm not sure what to entirely, but here you can go to the statistics. Let's see. So you would say D.Va played 40 games, 123, time played, win percentage, damage done average, which I really like, damage done most in the game, damage done most in life, most in life. Well, deaths average, eliminations, etc. They fine tuned that a little bit, and I think they've added a couple of things as well, but they don't specify what exactly. So we'll have to delve into that a little bit later. Um, they also, oh yeah, they used to make the averages. They used to be shown per minute. So here it says average 6.40, right? Previously that used to be 6.40 final blows per minute. That's not really possible with the most final blows being 23. You get the gist of it. Um, they've now changed the average to, instead of being per minute, they made it average per game, which I think is a better denominator for player skill or seeing how good you are at certain things. Um, that was all for the career overview. They've added a couple of game options. The game options that they've added were they've reorganized. Oh no, let's see. Oh, they added custom. That's pretty cool. They added custom crosshairs. Now I hope to find them in the controls. Gameplay then. Here's the network quality notification that I just talked about. Let's see. Here we go. So in controls, you can see radical bloom. You can turn it on or off. You have a radical type. You can make it circle, crosshair, short crosshair, dot. Let's make it a crosshair because it used to be a circle. I'm not sure whether I like that the most. And then you can change your radical colors, which is gonna be good, especially on certain maps where you would be in Gibraltar. You have one point which they call the pit, which is the first checkpoint if you push the payload. As a defender, when you would look up the ramp there from the pit, the ramp up, you would look straight into the sun. And what that would do would completely demolish your crosshair. You wouldn't be able to see where your crosshair was. So that's kind of horrific. Like that, it was so hard to play up to that ramp, so it was always easy for the attack to push down. Now with the crosshair change, you can hopefully see the radical. You can hopefully still see your radical. They also adjusted mouse sensitivity. I believe I used to have this on 13. I'm not sure whether that's gonna do it for me in this patch, but we'll have to test that out a little bit before we go into competitive. Then they have some hero specific options. So in the last patch they made it so you can go into option, go into controls, then you have your movement, etc. But you can change that to say Bastion or Diva or Genji, and for Genji they now have an option automatically climb walls. You used to have your use your spacebar or your jump button. Spacebar is the default for jump. Use that to climb walls. You can now say whenever I go up to a wall, it will automatically climb up. They have made that for Hanzo as well. The Junkrat Riptire is in his ult, does that automatically now. That might be a one I might turn on because sometimes you have trouble with that. With Mercy they now have a toggle beam connection. Now that's interesting because I'm not sure. Oh, so you don't actually have to hold it. So you just press one button and it automatically holds until that. That might actually be useful. I want to try that out a little bit. See how that goes. With Reinhardt, you used to toggle your barrier so you hold it consistently. Now you can press it off. Not sure if I want to turn that on or off. Soldier has disappeared, but Soldier can now hold to sprint, which is pretty useful. Or you can turn that off. I used to always hold to sprint anyway, so I might change it to that. Widowmaker has now. This is one of the biggest advantages, I think. So what I encountered was while playing. I'm used to Battlefield, and I'm not sure whether I turned it on in Battlefield or whether I would stand it on, but I would toggle my zoom. I would use it, and then it would automatically zoom, and I would use the zoom view to shoot. Now, I've noticed that in Overwatch, my aim is far worse when I'm holding my right mouse button, so the zoom button, while also having to press the left button to shoot. Especially if you then, after you shoot, get outzoomed and, like, you'd lose your booster and everything. So that was kind of annoying. So they now made it so you can toggle zoom, which I think is huge, and I like that a lot. It's gonna I'm definitely turning that on. That's gonna help me out. Then relative mouse sensitivity while zoomed is a huge quality of life change in my opinion. I always thought that the mouse sensitivity was horribly slow when you were zooming. So I was holding a button on my mouse that I have, which would allow for me to look around faster. I'm glad they now have a separate slide adjuster for it. So I'm very happy about that. And mouse sensitivity in general for everybody uh, has been changed. Like I said, I need to see whether that's gonna do well or bad for me. And I'm wondering whether they've actually adjusted horizontal sensitivity now. Whether previously this was only for gamepads. I'm not sure whether that's for everything now, but if it would be for your mouse as well, that's huge. I hope it is because I would really like that. Um, there's been several polish updates for the spectator mode, and then been a couple of bug fixes for the maps. So fixed an issue on Watchpoint Gibraltar that allowed players to access out of map areas. So what I think this relates to is you could see a light tower far away in the ocean, and with Farah, not that anyone ever did this, but with Farah you could just jump off the cliff and get there if you would use your abilities properly. So it's kind of funny. Like there was nothing there. You would fall through the light tower. It wasn't anything you can stand on or anything. But you know, people would like to just discover what the limits of the map were, so they were flying over there in practice. I think there's a couple of YouTube videos on that. And there's now fixed an issue where lever penalties were being incorrectly applied to an account. And that's all for the patch notes for beta 1.0.4.0 on the 6th of April. Thank you if you've been waiting here with me in the stream, and if you're watching this on YouTube, also thank you for watching it. If you're looking to catch my stream in the future, you can always follow me on twitch.tv/capscoach. And if you're willing to find my YouTube, I'll post a link in chat in a second so you can find this video later as well. Hope you guys had a great time. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, or don't if you don't want to. And yeah, hope that helped you guys out a little bit. We've given an overview of what the patch is like. Coach out, or zone.